here from Rock and Load. This evening I'm joined by the one, the only Mr. Oli Brown. Oli has just dropped his latest EP, Prelude, with his new project, Oli Brown and the Dead Collective. And Ollie's here this evening to tell us all about everything Oli Brown. How you doing, man? Like, what is going on in your world?
A lot. It's
A lot,
hectic at the moment.
Yeah. I feel like it's like buses, they all come at once. The opportunities and everything else. You're juggling many a plate at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm like to the point now. I keep this massive planner with me every day, so I know what I'm doing in my time because it's hectic now. I think you can't go into music by halves.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
definitely like recognize it. Because I think I dipped into it last year with Haunted, and I was like, oh, I'm not quite ready yet. It's because I know how full on it can be, and as rewarding, it can be unrewarding as well. As I'm going to hold off and give it several months and then dig into it. And now it's kind of like having to organize my days a bit more.
I'm sure. Yeah, because I know it myself. Like, you know, there's everything comes at you like from so many different sides, and you're trying to juggle all these things at once, and it can get very overwhelming very quick. So it's all about trying to find that balance and trying to, well, I suppose, like, how do you do it? Have you got people working with you at the moment yet?
Yeah, I mean, like with the music side of it, I think as I've got a great manager who's fantastic and an agent who books the shows. But I think when it's realistically, when it's an early stage of a band, you can't rely on these people because you've got to give them something to push and promote and get behind. So right now, you know, it's kind of all hands on deck for me, and you know, we're creating the artwork, putting everything together, and sorting out the release plans. And I have Wayne Proctor, who's kind of helping organize the scheduling side of the tours, making sure we've got, you know, sound and lighting organized. Because I was like fine doing it by myself, and then it'd be a week later, be like, oh, have you got this sorted out yet? I'm like, no, I haven't got that sorted out yet. And he's like, look, pass me some tasks and let me do that, because obviously I have the jewelry company Black Feather Design, and I am trying to figure out the balance between the both, because it's becoming such a big company for me, Black Feather, that I can't ignore it, and I've got to keep taking care of it because that's realistically, I mean, that company's afforded me a house and a car, and it's giving me actually a platform where I can have a sustainable living. But now digging into music, it's like I've got to figure out how to balance and kind of delegate some tasks.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, we'll talk about the Black Feather Design and how it came all about, but it must be great finally to have maybe a more secure revenue stream that's happening in the background for you to allow you to actually do the creative thing. Because from knowing you from over the past couple of years, the life of a musician is like a roller coaster. Money comes in and it goes straight out the door again.
Yeah, I think it's so surreal to me. I think I've always chased for music to kind of generate money for me, and thinking that it's going to kind of bring me a revenue. And then I think when it came to the point where I had to move out of where I was living, and I ended up moving into Wayne's spare room to kind of live for a year, and I had no money and nothing. And I'm like, I need to do something. And I know I tease a little bit. I did the Guitar Tribe, which are like educational guitar courses. But I think at that point, I was just trying to dig harder into music to make me money. Yeah. And it made me completely fall out of love with it, because I was just clutching at straws and desperate. And I think the Guitar Tribe could have worked, and I could have really, you know, we had 500 active members and it was growing, but I couldn't do it. I think and so having something now to provide security, like, I mean, to be able to go into these tours knowing that I can put the money back in the band and that's all it needs to do, means we can do so much more with the music and the shows and really make it something special. So it's great. I mean, I'm so grateful the jewelry company has taken the way it has, and it means that we can afford to make better decisions for the music.
Yeah. And so let's go back a little bit then and recap on things. So we had a good long chat a while back. I actually can't even remember when that chat was. It could have been close to a year ago for all we know at this stage. But so tell me again how the Black Feather Design came about. Was not during the lockdown something to keep you sort of busy and creative?
Yeah, it was just I think it was actually when I was at Wayne's house, and I realized I had no money and like no form of income, and like he was kind of bringing in me session work. I was like, I need to try something else out, and I'd kind of opened up an Etsy shop and selling some kind of jewelry pieces, and it was doing well. I think I from band knowledge, I understand and appreciate how important branding is and how it can, you know, translate. So I did a bit of research for a few months, made sure that, you know, the boxes I got were all eco-friendly, and I tried to make it a very kind of eco, kind of conscious gothic jewelry company. And then I just realized that I could do my own designs, and I started kind of tweaking them. And then throughout kind of that first year, it was mainly just Etsy, and it started doing really well. And I was like, well, I could do my own website. So I designed a whole website with it, worked with the team and started getting loads more of my own designs in, and started hallmarking them with the Black Feather logo. And to this date now, we've surpassed 14,000 sales.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's just growing. Like, we have an advertising team now, we have a social media team, and it's just expanding. I mean, to be fair, January has been terrifying, because it's like the first serious like January I've kind of put a lot of money at stake with advertising and stuff, where all of a sudden no one's got money, and I'm like, no one's buying the jewelry.
Yeah.
But thankfully, paydays definitely come in, and it's great. And like, and I've got the next kind of 6 months planned of designs that are launching, that are coming out for our subscribers first, and they get to see previews of it all. And it's just it originally was a hobby, has become so much more, and I know we can expand it to be a much bigger company. December alone, we just were working. We should have brought someone else in to help out, because we had over 1,000 sales in December alone, and it was just, and that was when Royal Mail had their strikes like twice a week.
Yeah.
Which I can fully support. I understand why they're having their strikes, but man, no one else supported Royal Mail that were ordering anything. It was, customer service was a nightmare, but I love it. It's definitely a passion for mine, and to be able to now kind of create synergy between the two things, and tour and bring my jewelry. Because I'm creating a little box to take to display for the shows, because everyone knows merch is where your income is for tours, and that's how you kind of sustain it. I know, like, I could sell 10 CDs or sell one ring. It can make such a huge difference for touring, and I can bring it with me, and it kind of advertise the branding as well.
Probably takes up less space as well.
Yeah. A lot less space. Yeah. And it's wicked. I love it, because I want to design jewelry for bands, and I can kind of advertise that, and it's cool to take. And I've always been obsessed with jewelry. Like, I used to go to Crazy Pig in London, in Covent Garden, because I was obsessed with it when I was growing up. And to be able to now do my own skull rings and kind of expand it, and try and find the gaps, it's wicked fun.
Yeah. And so tell me, how does it actually work for, like, from idea in your head to an actual production? So how does that work with you?
So originally it starts off with like a sketch. I got to do like a rough sketch of what I'm thinking, and then I'll go on to, I have kind of two ways of doing it. I'll use 3D rendering software where I'll create. So we had one of the weirdest opportunities last year. It was I got commissioned to make a pendant for Papa John's pizza.
Yeah.
And it was for that. It was. To be honest, I thought the email was fake when they got in touch with me, because I was like, "There's no way that Papa John's want a Gothic pendant." But my partner Hannah was like, "I think you should reply to them." And so for them, I used a 3D rendering software and created this like hinged pot, which has like the stamp inside it. And then I sent it to my team and say, like, what can we do with this? Like, do you think we can kind of create something like that? So we had a few back and forths about how that would come together. Some of them I'll do on actual Photoshop, and I'll create several different angles of how I want the item to look, and then we'll create a design through that, and then we'll go into production with it. And another one as well, I've kind of got a few different. I kind of try and spin a few different hats with it to try and just work with different people and kind of create different ideas with it. And another one, we brought in a 3D designer to create a piece, and we're looking at working on something that's really quite a big ring, and he's getting involved in it. And it's just, he's working on animation right now. So I'm like, got to wait till the end of this month, which is now. Yeah. And we're going to look at creating more designs through him, where then we print the molds, and we'll use a 3D printer to create the resin molds.
Okay.
And then from those resin molds, that's how we can get more detail than most people. So like, I've got a skull ring that comes out on the 1st of February, and it's small, it's ditty, but the detail in it is so full on, because of the printers are so good now. The detail you can get in 3D printers is insane.
And so a lot of those things translate then to the real product whenever have you seen the final product?
Yes. Yeah, massively so. I think you have to take into account some degradation of some loss of quality. So what you tend to do is you'll push the depth of the detail in the design. So by the time that it goes into the mold, it actually looks how it should look, rather than kind of like a slightly goofy skull where it's like, over the top. You start getting the detail come out. So it's finding the balance between the two. Definitely was an expensive trial and error to kind of figure it all out at first, but now I know how we can do it. We've got so many designs coming out. We've got this unique clasp for one of the bracelets where the sword goes through the skull, and the sword is actually the clasp for it. And like, just trying to find ways of bringing kind of a new edge to kind of gothic and rock and roll jewelry.
Yeah. Well, like from going to festivals, like there's endless sort of stalls selling that type of stuff, and it's always in demand. And if you have that sort of niche in the market, and maybe a brand like it's getting recognized like yourself, that should really stand out then for you.
I love it. I mean, we've got so many plans for this year with the company, and I think, like I said, it's hard to ignore now. Like, it's doing so well, and it's great having people kind of come back to the shop and wanting to come back and building relationships with people. And I think one of the main goals of Black Feather Design is the first year of running it, I didn't tell anyone that I was doing it, because I wanted to make sure that it was kind of coming organically. And Black Feather Design has more followers than me now on Instagram, and I get more likes on the posts and stuff like that. And I'm anonymous behind it. Like, it says my name, but there's no pictures of me on it. It's nice. It's nice working like that. It's not nice when the strikes are going on and I had everyone just angry and hating me. But
I know. I was in the same boat myself. My line of work as well is all done through Royal Mail, and I was actually on holiday as well. I decided to take myself off to the States, so I was getting emails while I was in the States from customers, and I was just like, everybody just chill out. It'll arrive eventually.
Yeah.
What else can you do? Like, it's totally out of your hand. It's horrible.
Well, now the hack, especially with the hack now, because Royal Mail's been hacked, so now they've stopped international shipments for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
which has been absolute nightmare. Yeah. So I'm still, but it's just part of it. And as long as and I'm hands on with everything, so I always message people if it's not coming out at the right time. And as long as people get told, they're pretty chill with it, because they know that it's I'm independent.
I think the biggest thing from working in customer service over the years and stuff is communication with your customers. If you're transparent with them, talk to them and explain what's going on, and don't dodge them, then they'll appreciate it.
100%. I mean, occasionally you get someone that's just a bit of a jerk, and that's all right, whatever. Like, they'll leave a 1-star review or whatever like that. But I used to, I know, like, this didn't happen, but we were very lucky. Like, I think we've got 2,500 reviews, and and out of all of them, like, I think 10 are 1-star. The rest of them are 5-star. Like, you're always going to get that person, and usually when you read the 1-star review, you're like, okay, that person is just a bit of it.
Yeah.
And
so, look, you're talking about the idea of now balancing this with obviously the music coming back. So that's going to be a challenge for sure. I know you're a bit of a control freak. So are you ready to sort of step back and let somebody take the reins on the business side of things while you rock out?
I think, I think I am actually. I agree. I think the last 2 weeks, I thought I could do it all, because I was just confident that I'd be able to handle it all, but I can't get back to messages fast enough now. And reality is, like, practicing and getting the show ready and trying to organize my music, like, it takes such a long time, and there's no real stop point at that. Like, when you respond to customers, or like, you work on design and you do a schedule thing, like, that's it. Where, like, music is like getting the show ready, it lasts as long as you want it to. So my partner Hannah, I think, well, she primarily does the packing for the orders anyway. It's only when we get too much that I'll help out pack. I think she knows the business inside and out and knows it better than me in some essences. So I think she'll start taking over more of the company as I kind of dig more into music, which means that it's still us and it's still kind of staying in the family, and we work from there. But I think I can't do both to the level that they both need.
Yeah, and obviously the music is, Christ, it's so reactive at times. Like, opportunities will come, which you're going to have to make a quick decision on about taking them up and stuff like that there. And then so it will throw your plans for likes of the business one direction or the other. So you have to sort of then relinquish that, as you say, and have somebody you can trust to carry it on for you.
100%, because I think it's so important. Like I said, like Black Feather, the reality is that's going to be the one that makes me the money for for the foreseeable future, because realistically, the money
really for yourself.
Yeah, and the money needs to go back into the band that the band makes. Like, we know we've got so many things we want to do for the songs and the videos and art. Like, I want that money to just go just take care of the band and be able to invest in it. I mean, luckily, because of the way that the launch went with the pre-orders, the vinyl and the CDs, it's been an eye opener for me, because it means that okay, there's far more opportunity with this. But I can't, like, Black Feather Design, we've got plans for the releases to make this company even bigger this year, and I want to give that, I want it to grow to be where it could be, because I think it could be I think it can be a massive name if we dig deep with it and do more with the company.
Yeah, I think, like, I'm sure you know yourself, but like your music, if you have to give 100% to something to really get the benefit out of it back, if you go half-assed at it, then it'll never really come to fruition. So it's about recognizing the opportunity and grasping that, especially with the business as well, to make sure it grows.
Yeah, 100%. You just can't do anything by half, and yourself, when you're not giving it the same, because it happens. Like, I think that's why everything is, like, for the company is scheduled. Like, I schedule all the social media, so I know it's taking care of itself, because I have got a lot of money at stake every month in advertising with the team. Like, I have outgoings, so if I'm not giving into it, then those outgoings are still going to come out, and I'm sorry, it's very, very demanding, and I love it, but so is music. And I think I can't expect people to get behind the music or come to shows or see anything if they don't feel like I'm 100% in it, because people get behind people with passion. They get behind passion and care. And if I'm kind of like, throwing a gig here and there, and maybe putting a CD out, you just kind of, you don't feel that passion, and I know that, and that's why now that's why I waited so long, really, to kind of set up the company for them, for the rest of the last year, so I can make sure that the jury's in a good spot, that I can now go into this full on head first and really make something of their collective.
Yeah. And you have your first headline debut gig in a day or two in New York?
Yes. Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, it must be exciting then. Are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I am. I think because last year when we had our first couple of shows, I wasn't looking forward to either of them. I was terrified. I think it's such a different show and different mindset to be in. Like, with Raven Eye, like, you can be boisterous and yell at everyone and throw shit and hell abuse, and it's just, that's part of the show, where this is just not that gig. It's so heavy in its theme and the content of the lyric and what's going on. Like, I can't be Larry on stage. It doesn't work. It's contradictory to what the songs are saying and the meaning of the song, and then I think it separates the show. It makes it so it was really stressful last year, kind of getting that headspace to kind of know what works.
Yeah.
So after we had a few rehearsals last week, and like seeing where it's at and knowing confidently, well, this is what we are, this is how we sound, I'm so excited for Wednesday. Like, I'm really excited for the gig, and I think it is. I know we can pull it off, and I think it makes me really excited to kind of dig deeper into this, because it isn't what I'd usually do. It's not, vocally it's hard work. They're high songs. It's taxing, but I'm loving this kind of fresh challenge where I don't need to overcompensate by being loud and over the top and jumping and screaming and stuff. Like, we've really crafted a show so that really talking is at a bare minimum, if at all. And in between songs, it's atmosphere, it's soundscapes. There's a lot going on. That means that I want them to immerse themselves into the show rather than feel like they're being like entertained. It's more just heavy music, heavy themes, and something really epic and dramatic.
Yeah. And the band you've got built around you, obviously Wayne on drums, and I think was it Alex and Andrew, isn't it, on the band as well? Are they part of the touring band, or?
No, so the touring band is Wayne Proctor on drums and Sam Wood, who now plays in Black Star Riders, and Wayward Sons on guitar as well. So we've got two guitarists and a drummer.
Okay.
And that's a touring setup. So we I'd love to have a bass guitarist with us on the tour and things, and that's one of the things that I've had to kind of think about in terms of financially. I can't afford it. And as great as it would be to have the full spectacle and everything, we're like, well, then what else could we do? And for me, it was more important bringing a sound engineer and a lighting engineer.
Yeah.
It's a bass player, but like at this point, sound and lighting is far more important for our shows, and so we have got bass on there in the show, but it's not from a bass player.
Yeah, and obviously beyond the next show, you're on tour with The Answer as well, so UK tour.
Yes,
that's a great, obviously great way to launch yourself and the new project.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really excited for it because I know they picked venues that they're going to sell out. Like I know London's already sold out for them as well, and
yeah,
I mean they're a wicked band, and they've been really lovely on Instagram talking to me, and really supportive, and they put me on their playlist and stuff. So I think it's going to be a really nice tour to be on.
Yeah.
So I definitely was nervous. I think towards the end of last year, I was like, I've got so used to being at home. I'm like, I'm not sure I want to really do a tour.
Leave the house anymore.
Yeah, like it's nice, and but I think I think I can't do anything dishonestly. I think this is why now I'm like, actually, I'm ready for it. Because to be honest, I was close to saying I don't think I can do any of these. Like I don't think I can really. I don't know if I'm mentally really capable of it, or if I'm really have got the time to. And then, but I just sat down and had to have a real long talk with myself and spoke to a few people and got advice. Actually, giving both sides of opinions. Some saying, you know what, it's okay to leave, to quit, and again. And I think hearing that made me feel more comfortable with digging in harder. Not as in like no, I'm going to do the opposite. I think it made me go, oh yeah, it's all right if it doesn't work. So let's give it everything. Let's do everything I can to know that I've given it the best, given it my best shot. And, it's definitely given me a lot more relaxed opinion about, the journey and the path for it. And I'm excited to tour, and I'm actually really excited to be as busy as possible this year with music.
Yeah, I was talking with Chris Barris about a few days ago, and he was just talking about when he tours with Billy Gibbons with the Supersonic Blues Machine, and he was saying that every single night before they get on stage, Billy Gibbons would do like a team talk type thing, and he says to them, just remember, we don't have to do this. You're actually privileged to be in the position you're in, so it is a choice, and you're very, very lucky to have that opportunity to get up there on stage every night and put your music out there and put yourself out there. It's a wonderful opportunity, and just got to grasp it with both hands, don't you?
What a beautiful sentiment. Yeah, that's it. And I think at that point last year, I think I was looking at like, do I, I have to do this, like, because I've recorded the songs, I had to release them, and then there was putting Haunted out and announcing everything there, and I was like, I wasn't ready. And at that point, I just needed to get some money and finances sorted out, and know that I think the idea of it, I think at that point we still had a couple of letdowns in the band and trying to like find a bass player that could play the stuff, because it is taxing. And I think we had pulled the original bass player pulled out the first show, so we had someone come in last minute, which was fantastic, and he did a wicked job. But then we had the next show, and the same thing happened a week before the show, and it was like, oh man, like I'm not interested in this stress again. Like I don't need this. Like, so that's why I've kind of gone with just the three of us.
Yeah.
I'm like glued to trios, man. It doesn't, like, no matter how hard I try and like expand, trios keep calling to me.
Yeah. Simplified version, I suppose, And so then tell us a little bit about the EP itself, the song choices that you made. Like, how many songs did you actually pen before you chose the three that were on the EP?
We originally it was meant to be an album, I think. So we had 9 songs ready with all the order sorted out, and with the plan to release it as an album. And it was only as kind of I got halfway through last year, I was like, this seems a mistake. It seems too early for a new band to really put out an album, for it to have a short life cycle, and then everyone moves on. Yeah. Where I think if we look at this EP and this whole kind of these series of songs as different releases, it means that we can kind of engage throughout the year, build up a repertoire, but also kind of just keep things progressing rather than an album lasts a year
or a tour. Shock with an album release these days. It's quick. It's like a blink of an eye. It's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, and music's so disposable the way that people hear it now. I just don't think, especially for us, I know it is important still to have an album, but for us right now, it's not important for it to be an album. So originally like Haunted was going to be it. I think these three songs are the more like upbeat, intense kind of. Obviously Haunted's not really upbeat, but it's kind of got that high energy, big passionate kind of up tempo kind of feel to them all. And I think that was the kind of intention with this record, was just to really kind of establish the band that we're not really kind of bound to, I guess, structure in terms of like a verse chorus. We really wanted to kind of go into more progressive kind of arrangements. So obviously Heard Number 4 is the shortest one of the whole record, and it felt like the easiest one for people to get behind and for us to push for, radio interest that isn't too, intense, because the album as a whole is, when our plan for the album, it's a heavy record. It's long tracks, and they're all pretty intense. So Slinky Ship was one of the more slinky, kind of like not quite as dramatic themed track, but also one of my favorite tracks to play. It's like that bass guitar is my SG with a Pog octave. It's not even a bass guitar. Like,
right.
We tried 2 bass players and 5 different bass guitars, and nothing could come close to the atmosphere and the energy that fake bass guitar sounded. And we're like, why are we trying to recreate this? Like, we were literally in the studio trying to get the perfect pedal tone to exactly match what the track was doing. I'm like, this is ludicrous, right?
Yeah.
So those are 3, and then obviously Haunted, because Haunted is already out. It just felt like the right package, and it worked with putting the string version, the Solitude version of Haunted out on this little EP to kind of show the intentions of the band, that there's a lot more to it than just one sound, without being too specific of it's rock, and especially I think that was why it was really important for us to put the Solitude session of Haunted on, to really show that, I don't really want to just put out just a rock album, a rock record. I really want to just put out music it speaks and is intense and has a lot of meaning to it, rather than feeling like, oh, I need the upbeat song, I need the slow song, I need this song. I just really want to show the variety and intention behind the band, that it's to be, a lot more than just one formula of sound and, identity. It could be, and strings behind us for a showing. I want that room to kind of grow.
Yeah, and so how did that Solitude version of Haunted come around? Was it a discussion between the band, or do you always have that in mind to do something like that?
It was something that I had in mind, but I think it was Wayne Proctor. He kind of facilitated it. He knew Jo Quail from touring, because he plays drums for A.A. Williams, and I think they did some shows together. And he said about Jo Quail putting cello down, he's like, oh, watch her, and she does it all by herself. And we kind of put the draft to her and said, hey, look, this is the song. Do you think you could do something? So she said she was up for it. And so Wayne and I got to making the demo. And at that point, it was just, I just put Wayne on the guitar so I could record him and we could work out the arrangement. So Wayne was strumming the acoustic. And then we were like, that's fine. So then we'll put the demo vocal down. So I did a few takes, put together the best kind of between them. And then we sent it to Jo Quail and said, right, do whatever you want with this track. So we mixed it. We kind of gave that acoustic and the vocals the right treatment, so give her as much of a platform to work on. And what she put down as the demo ideas were just stunning. So we brought it to the studio, I think, the following week, and actually filmed the whole thing and recorded her playing it. And the way she just, her touch on watching her play that version was just overwhelming. She was just, it captivated the drama and the emotion and just the intensity of the song in her arrangement. And she said like she was trying to go for some dissonant notes and some kind of level of discomfort. So it wasn't just beautiful strings. There's that slight angst in it. And she just nailed it. And originally after that, we were going to re-record I was going to play the acoustic because, I'm the guitarist. I should play, the guitar. And then so we're going to re-record it. And we're like, actually, nah, like that sounds good. And then we were going to re-record the vocals as well, because like, no, because now I'm going to sing them properly. But once again, it was that thing of like, yeah, but it didn't need it. Like we were really happy with it. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, well then the one thing I'm going to do is put on a massive guitar solo on this string interlude section. And I sat down for the first pass, ready to try and fill in some space. And it got to the end. I'm like, I can't do anything. Like there's nothing, you hear me play a bit of slide right at the end, because that's the only thing I can really do to help elevate a moment. But it was like, yeah, like that's the only bit of guitar I do on that song. And it's just what she did, I think helped emphasize the depth and the weight of what the song is really about.
Yeah, it must be, as you said, a really, really sort of interesting and experience watching an artist like her, because obviously from a different genre, different field, working on a cello, just bringing such different layers to your music.
Yeah, and we're already working on syncing ship with her, and because Jo loops herself, she uses the cello as percussion instrument and creates
Okay.
this thing. So we said, hey, I don't want to repeat myself with the solitude sessions. I want each song to feel like it's not just, it's getting its own treatment. It's not just us strumming acoustic, then pretty cello parts. Like, so the next syncing ship, it's got her percussion creating loops, and we're doing something really messed up for syncing ship for the next solitude session to really offer something different. So by the end of the year, there'll be like a Solitude Sessions record, which will, feature different guesting artists, but that they're not just token B versions of the songs. They are, given as much love and as care as the full produced tracks are.
Yeah, I've always appreciated artists who do that sort of thing. Bands like Def Havana, who would be really big into doing sort of acoustic versions of their albums, but like really thinking outside the box about how they approach them. I remember one of those tracks, I can't remember which one it was now, where they had like I can't remember, was it a stereo mic or something, or two different mics, and they literally walked around the room and recorded. So like it literally went from left to right as the guys literally walked in a circle around while playing the song, So just phenomenal sort of wee touches that really make it stand out and make you appreciate an artist for what they are beyond just thinking they write quirky pop sort of rock songs.
I think that's the thing of like, we've got, it feels token, I think, when you just do like an acoustic version of a song.
Yeah.
It just, and I think, what's the point? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just it just feels pointless to me. I don't really understand. Like, now looking at it, like, if we're going to do a B version, let's go at it like it's a brand new song for us, and we're going to create the best atmosphere so that people can't decide which is the favorite, or like different mood. Maybe you don't want to listen to some all out rock, but you got the other version, which is completely different. And I think that's the way we want to treat anything that we're creating and putting down, is that nothing is a token gesture. It's with purpose.
Yeah. And so regarding the other songs and the other releases, are you going to be doing them as like 3 or 4 EPs?
Yes, definitely. That's the plan. And the way we've launched this first EP with the limited edition, then the limited edition vinyl, we're going to launch the next EP very differently to that as well. Okay. Same thing. We don't really want to repeat ourselves. Then everyone knows that, oh yeah, the first one's going to be limited run, but then they're going to do it gets a bit cliche.
Predictable.
Yeah, and just not special. And it feels like more of a token gesture. And so we've got our plan for the next drop, which I'm super excited about. Just because it's same thing. I think it's nice to plan purposes. I think it's the one thing I probably learned from the jewelry company about launches and stuff like that, trying to keep things different, and how much it can engage and how much it makes things more exciting for people. Because I'm seeing it, and I'm seeing it, the reaction for it from a jewelry perspective. But to be able to do it in music is way more rewarding, because it's it's my music and I'm playing it. But I think that's the one thing we want to keep each drop unique in the way that we approach it and that we give it, so that it creates some kind of atmosphere around it and that there's greater intentions. And I think the one thing that you get to do with EPs that you don't get to do with albums is you can kind of get away with doing, not necessarily that we would, but like 3 slow songs as an EP, and that's that collection.
Yeah.
And you can do that because no one's going, wait, with an album you kind of got to get your your radio song in, your ballad and your rock ones, and then maybe a slightly different version of something, like a slightly kind of off-piece track for the record, so people have got this kind of palette that they can kind of see the band in. Where this way with the EP, the next one we could do however we wanted to. And no one's going to go, oh, well, that's what the band sound like. It's going to be like, oh, that's that little soundscape. That's another snippet of the band that you'll see in the live show. And I think that you wouldn't get with an album. And it makes me excited because I know what we're planning for the next EPs and the next round of them. And to confidently go in knowing that, an EP is not going to have any upbeat song. It's not going to have an upbeat song. And it's going to be, could be like 3, 7, 8 minute long tracks. You digest it very differently. And the way that I said, the way that music's digested now, it's so disposable, you can get away with it. And I'm excited about it because it means that we can create something that we wouldn't be able to do, and be confident in it, that we wouldn't be able to do with an album, because you've got to fit certain quota on an album.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to know what the right approach is anymore with the modern music industry, and an awful lot of people are doing single drops, just sort of drip feeding them one a month sort of thing. And by the time the album comes out, every single song has been released. But at least knowing you guys and how you approach stuff in the past, like you're always very DIY and very fan based and interactive with your fans. So the idea of, say, multiple EP launches, for example, and creating different flavors, it takes people on a journey with you. So over the course of the year, they'll be invested by the time that the album does come around.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it so exciting, is that, like, you get to bring people on a slightly different journey, and you don't get. I think it just means that we can be confident in the decisions we make for the next drop, knowing that it is going to sound a certain way, and that's the atmosphere of that CD, even down to the CD name that we've got for the next one. It's completely just committing to what atmosphere it's trying to create, and I love that, and that is reflective of the live show as well. Like it is an intense live show. It's, like I said, there's not really much talking for it. We've really just wanted to create atmosphere, and even down to the lighting technician, Laura, she's just incredible. And the lighting show that she's put behind it, which unfortunately we can't do on the headline because it's a small venue that we're kind of working on. So we did that as a bit of a warm up as well for us for the Winter's End performance. But what she's crafted for Winter's End, she's just incredible. And it's so exciting to be able to kind of work to this level and create these kind of atmospheric shows to really paint a different picture of a performance that I haven't done before. The blues shows, it's very much like I'm the guitarist, like I'm going to sing a bit, but I'm going to do this really killer long solo, and I'm going to play this I'm going to melt your faces off for like half an hour and then sing a bit more. And then obviously Rave and I, it's like as vigorous as we can. I'm going to climb this thing and yell at you from over here, and guitars are flying here. And then this show is not about me, or at some point Sam Wood's taking guitar solos because he's a killer guitar player, and we're just creating this far greater kind of spectacle that's more about the music and what the songs and the atmosphere is trying to say.
Yeah. And so the set then that's coming for the upcoming shows, like With the Answer, is it all the new material?
Yes, all the new material.
Yeah, very good.
So we're kind of treating it like, especially for the sports, like, to be honest, even for the headline show, it's only going to be the new material.
Yeah.
So we're kind of treating it as a brand new thing. And I think blurring the lines between the two kind of invites things and questions, or invites things that I don't really want to entertain. I definitely don't want to cross over to the blues side of it, because as much as I love it with this band, it can also be, a dangerous path to kind of move towards, because that audience isn't going to really like the Dead Collective. So I don't need to play those songs, but it also just wouldn't really work with the way we've orchestrated the show.
Yeah, of course.
Even the Raven Eye songs. But I think it's, Wayne's a different kind of drummer as well, so it would just sound odd.
Yeah. And so have you anything to tell us, and beyond the answer, anything else exciting coming up on the other side of that?
We're looking at a few options. I think the main thing was actually having music out for people to actually hear, so then we can actually pitch these tours to the people I wanted to reach out to. But it just felt silly unless I've got something out. I'm currently on the hunt for an animator at the moment. We've been talking to a few people to maybe do something special for Haunted, because I do really want the Solitude sessions of Haunted, just because I really want to put something special for that together. So we've got a few things.
Stop animation or animation?
Animation would be fantastic. Although there is someone stop animation, which we're kind of intrigued about as well. I think I've got a few ideas in mind for it, and I just really want that to get serviced properly. I don't want it to just be a Spotify song. I really like the idea that the Solitude sessions kind of get involve different artists, so it not just being about the music. We actually involve an incredible, a talented illustrator or a videographer, and we kind of do this collaboration of artists within the Solitude sessions.
Yeah, very good. Good idea. You should put it out as a competition. Get somebody to submit videos as an option.
Yeah, that would be way more budget friendly.
Absolutely.
And, but that would be a really good idea. I mean, I definitely the Solitude sessions, I really want to approach those ones with a mindset that I haven't approached before. So stuff like competitions and creating stuff like that is I love that idea, because it just, I want to, every time I do these ones, I want to do something I've not done with someone. I've never
Yeah.
recorded something with a string player before. It's thinking, shit, we're going to treat it the same way. That we're going to do something we've never done on that one too.
Yeah. Well, best of luck with the rest of it, because it sounds like a fascinating project, and I'm really looking forward now to hearing the rest of the music, because obviously, as you're talking about the different directions you go in, the type of style of music you're into now and playing, it's going to be a fascinating ride for everybody.
I can't wait, mate. Like, I think it's been a while. I'm glad that I took the break that I needed to, and I'm excited to dig in. I'm excited for the rest of this year and what's coming up. It's great to be aligned back in music again and kind of looking at it from a more positive aspect rather than like a necessity. It means that I can give more than I have before in a much healthier way.
Good. Glad to hear it. Well, look, I won't keep you much longer because I know you're busy. Just wondering, I was just thinking, there was saw your hand. Any new tattoos off the new band or new album yet? No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I had to save for a house, so I was like, tattoos are expensive. So I was like, I'm gonna wait till
doing the whole adulting thing. It's no fun, isn't it?
Oh, it's so boring. It's so boring. I'm like seeing this money. I'm like, oh god, you have to pay how much for a mortgage?
I know.
So
times is hard.
Yeah, but it's all right now. I've got the house, but now I've got to pay for repairs if something breaks and stuff like that. Like, we had a leak now, and I'm like, oh, that's another tattoo idea kind of out the window.
Yep. Welcome to my world.
Oh, mate. But your room is looking dashing. I have to say, I'm loving your backdrop.
It was supposed to be actually a geometric gold pattern against the black, and I totally messed it up. So I just had to go black. So I just had to go, paint over it. Disaster.
There's definitely no remnants of that.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. So what do you do? But listen, Oli, thank you again for your time, man. Lovely talking to you. Great to catch up.
Yeah, you too, mate.
And obviously, get your ass across to Ireland at some stage. Find yourself an excuse to come across here and play.
Oh, we're trying. I was really hoping we'd get the answer right. I was like, the only way we can squeeze that one in.
I know. Well, you're always welcome. You've always got a bed, so just give me a shout.
Oh, thanks so much, dude. It's really great talking to you, mate.
No problem. Take care of yourself and best of luck for the rest of the year.
You too, mate.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Take care.